a near-death experience, and she saw the world of the dead, or rather the edges of it, with a great number of people around, all of them, interestingly enough, carrying baggage, except her. What about the people who go into the world of the dead with no baggage? What does that mean?
Well, it depends on what you define the world of the dead. There is an astral area which you could relate to something like purgatory, where you've got a lot of unhappy spirits wandering around, moaning and reliving little parts of their lives. It's a shadowy, dismal type of realm. But these are not real spirits. In my opinion, they are like echoes of the past. Imagine through the act of living a life, you create like an astral echo of yourself, and after your physical body dies and you pass over into a higher level of the astral, you leave behind this continuing echo, which can take sometimes hundreds of years to dissolve. And that's one aspect of the afterlife. And that area particularly, if you go below ground during an astral projection in, say, a cemetery, you will often find large collections of afterlife-type dead people they're not real people. They don't have a real consciousness to them. You couldn't have a conversation with them because they're not really there. You go into the higher levels of the astral and you'll find them in various parts. Because it's not like a particular place you can go to. They're difficult to find. They're these insubstantial realms. You have to sort of tune into them, and to tune into something like that, you have to have some kind of attachment to it. You're either led there, you may be led to one of these areas by trying to tune into a deceased friend or loved one, and I hope to visit them in that way. But it's hugely complex, Whitley. It is not a simple thing. It's not like, a person dies and then they go here and there, and it's all the same for everybody. It's quite variable. Some people pass over who are more evolved spiritually and psychologically, and you find they pass over very, very smoothly into usually the higher and more sophisticated realms of the astral.
Tell us
dimension.
about these higher and more sophisticated realms.
Again, they're hugely varied, and I don't pretend to understand even 1% of them. But one thing I do know, you broached it before, these higher beings like the doctors and nurses and that you mentioned there, even these spirit guides that some people appear to have. I think these evolved beings are spirits who have gone beyond the reincarnational wheel and evolved to a certain point where they no longer have to reincarnate. And at that particular time, they have a choice then. They can either progress on a new path of evolution, which you could call the path of the masters, or, as most seem to do, they turn back and help humanity in whatever way they can. And then they become active in the spirit world, helping people and humanity. And these are often taken as, and will often take the part as being a spirit guide for somebody or groups of people.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So where are we now? Let me ask you this. Rather than ask you, I want to change the subject. I want to go back to the book a little bit. One of the things that's you suggest, completely a lot of different changes in lifestyle and so forth, and you talk a great deal in the book about relaxing. And we're not attuned, Robert, to this level of reality at all. We're not attuned. We seem to be in a world in which everything works against our even noticing it. We're worrying about the next car and the computer and this and that and the other thing. And you're saying basically you can tune out of all of that. You even mention a book about living thrifty. Tell us a little bit about this whole approach to life and why it makes you more attuned to the astral.
the normal physical life, I mean, for the average person, we lock ourselves into the physical world and live our lives. I mean, this is the whole point of life. You could say the meaning of life is to live your life. And it is right that we do this. But some people have natural abilities where they can perceive the greater reality beyond the physical. And you find there are people out there who naturally see auras and spirit beings or see energy in various forms. And that's one aspect of looking beyond the normal reality into the greater reality. Astral projection is another. It happens to like everybody, I think. It's one stage or other, or most people will have something, even if it's perceived as a dream, you know. These are very, very common experiences. And the point of the books I write, most people, Whitley, you'd be maybe surprised to hear, do not want to do a lot of astral projection. I mean, it sounds like it is a very interesting thing to do, but most people have quite a bit of fear about stepping into the greater reality, and they are quite happy to do one or two astral projections, which can change your life. Because if you can induce an astral projection from the full waking state, you sit down right away, you relax, project out of your body, and then you come back into your body again. You've just proven something to yourself, that you can exist separately from your physical body as a spirit, or something very much like a spirit. So that changes one's beliefs and opens you up a little bit more to the concept of and the reality of life after death. And it's not such a scary thing once you have some experience behind you in that respect.
It's not such a scary thing, and yet it is our nature to be frightened of it and to struggle against it. I struggled mightily against my wife's dying, and she made a conscious decision at one point to come back and not die because she wanted to be in this life. So we do resist this. Should we, or is this a mistake?
No, resist. I mean, the purpose of
resisting
life
death
is to live life. And I mean, we fight against death. We rage against it, and so we should. I mean, nobody should seek death. I mean, everybody's life, even the lowliest person on this planet, I mean, every life is important. Even if you spend it sitting down in front of a television and never leave the lounge room and you sit there, you know, you are experience a life sitting down watching television. It's an important life, and everybody on this planet can have realizations, and all of a sudden, for example, a person may stand up, turn the television off, and go out and do something important for the world. We all work together.
And projecting yourself astrally and getting involved in this other level of reality is actually an extraordinarily life-affirming thing in my experience. Would you agree? I mean, I think so.
Would you repeat that, please?
It's a life-affirming thing to learn how to project into the astral. What do you think it does for you after death? You will be different in the astral after death than a person who's never really been conscious of this. How will you be different?
Well, I'll give you an example. My late mother, who passed away 2 years ago in her sleep, and interestingly enough, when she passed away in Australia, her sister in England passed away at exactly the same time, on the same night. They both let go together.
Good Lord.
And my mother came back and, at the same time, and they were very close together. And I'll tell you what happened. My mother came back to visit me a few weeks later, and in the astral. And I was sitting at my desk as usual, meditating. I do that for a couple of hours a day, and I have astral sight when I meditate. I'm fairly clairvoyant. And I saw a flash of red to the right of me, and I sort of looked over with my astral eyes, and I saw my mother there. And she looked like a very well-preserved 40, wearing her favourite colour, which is red. And everybody looks their best in the astral. You know, your self-image is has a powerful effect on how you appear. Anyway, I left my body,